Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, and now Daniel Dubois all fell twice each to Oleksandr Usyk, who is the best heavyweight of our generation. His skill expression in the ring is unlike any other heavyweight currently. Very elusive footwork, pinpoint accurate punches, and carries a heavyweight power. Although he is smaller and older than almost all of his opponents, they just cannot keep up with him. And here against Daniel Dubois, there was no controversy this time. It was a knockout in the 5th round. And because of the skills of Usyk, Daniel Dubois was losing composure throughout the fight, increasingly getting more reckless throughout, desperate for the knockout, overextending with his right hand, and those gave the opening to Usyk to land his power punches throughout the fight, as well as knock him out. Daniel Dubois could not keep up with the footwork, and he was reacting way too much to the feints, giving Usyk his openings, as well as how to deal with the jab of Daniel Dubois, which is one of his best techniques, and he started throwing it early in the fight. Steps forward with it, and Usyk blocks the punch. He'll throw it when he's moving forward, as well as a counter, when Usyk would try to find his opening with his own jab. But he would be met by the jab of Dubois, and there, at the beginning of the fight, Usyk gradually throughout the fight started to get around that jab, so he'll start throwing feints forward to trigger it out there, because of how fast Dubois was firing it. It was just an instinct of his, so Usyk knew that he could trigger those out quickly by merely feinting forward. So Usyk would lift his right hand up, as well as step on the outside of the lead foot, which is usually a tell that he's going to line up a punch, either his left hand or right hook around the side. But that feint got Dubois to throw his jab forward, and Usyk quickly stepped and pulled away from the punch, as well as slipping on the follow-up jab that Dubois threw. Quickly into the fight, Usyk started to get used to that jab. It began pressuring Dubois by stepping forward and faking a punch to the body, keeping Dubois guessing and allowing his punches later to land a lot more accurately. So then Usyk feints again. He hops in the air showing his right hand, trying to get Dubois' attention up high, but doesn't throw anything there. So he drops to the ground, lowers his stance slightly, and steps on the outside of the lead foot as he throws his jab on the inside. So he doesn't bring his right hand around. He throws his right hand through the middle of the guard and lands it flush. But at the same time, again, Dubois is very fast to throw his own jab and lands that as well on the top of the side of the head of Usyk. And he follows up with another jab, lands that punch as well. Now Usyk is the one moving away. Dubois has reversed the pressure that Usyk just had and follows up his jab with a right straight, which gets partially blocked, and Usyk gets away from the aggression. So far, Usyk's been working a lot with his right hand instead of his left. Notice how he didn't throw a single left hand in that entire sequence. It was all off the jab and feints with the jab, and they weren't getting the success that he was looking for. So to solve Daniel Dubois' style, he starts relying on the left hand. Because they're in opposite stances, there's the open side for his left straight to land. And naturally, as he throws it, he could step his right foot on the outside of Dubois' lead foot, naturally getting his head off the center line whenever Dubois throws his jab. So it's a multi-layered solution here to the one thing that Dubois has been successful with. And to go with it as well, Usyk has the reach in his left straight to beat that jab as well. So one left hand lands. Then he follows up with a combination, throws a lead right hook, and Dubois ducks under it. Notice how Usyk, for a split second, goes into a defensive stance. A Philly shell stance for a split second, being mindful of his defenses if Dubois tried to counterattack. But what he sees instead is Dubois moving away from him. So he went defensive, tried to evade the pressure from Oleksandr Usyk. So Usyk fires and lowers all of his defenses, knowing that Dubois was not going to be able to counter him effectively, because what does he usually throw? The jab. And he does it again. So Usyk timed this perfectly. He throws his right hand forward, faked the punch as he's stepping on the outside of the lead foot, lining up his left hand as he slips the jab of Dubois, and partially lands the left hook. The reason why the punch even landed here, Dubois' right guard was not necessarily too great. He tends to parry with that hand whenever Usyk fires out his left, and that creates a bigger opening for Usyk to land a left hook instead of a left straight. And you'll see that Dubois does this multiple times throughout the fight, leaving openings for Usyk to land his left hand. And again, here he does the same thing. Usyk throws some jabs forward to measure distance, as well as to get Dubois' attention on that punch. And with the second one, he steps on the outside of the lead foot and fires out a left straight instead of a left hook. And this time Dubois was able to parry it because it was a left straight instead of a hook. And Dubois tries to counter with his jab, and again it misses because Usyk's getting his head off the center line whenever he throws that left. You can see how consistently that works for Usyk. So then Usyk follows up with a right hook, but this time he doesn't counter with another jab. That would have been the better opening for him to land his jab, not when Usyk's throwing the left straight. But instead he just sits there idle, he doesn't throw anything, and Usyk again follows up, this time with a left hook as he steps on the outside of the lead foot. And once again, Dubois throws a jab in that moment and lands it to the shoulder. Usyk gets his head on the outside of that jab and lands his left hook as Dubois tries to parry that as well. But this time his parry hand is on the inside of the hook gets around it and lands to the side of the head. Even after landing that power punch, Usyk is fast enough to pull away from the counter left hand of Dubois. Then the fight starts changing as Usyk is starting to land his right hand. So up to this point, his left hand was the most reliant punch, that he was able to land. But then he goes and throws a right hook, and he starts it off with a low feint, so he drops his levels, which gets Dubois to drop his left hand. Then he rises up above it, stands up tall, and gets a good angle over that left guard and lands that right hook flush. Dubois threw a left hook which got blocked, and then he throws a right hook, but look how fast Usyk gets into a good defensive stance as well as pivots and rotates around him. He knows that Dubois is throwing a right hook, so he rotates away from it as well as picking up his right arm to block the punch. Beautiful work from Oleksandr Usyk, man. Then we go to this moment of the fight, and Usyk continues to feint. He throws a feint to the body, lowers his levels with it, and it gets Dubois to throw a jab at that lower level. He thought that Usyk was going to keep his stance low, which is why his jab also was low, but Usyk rises up with his stance, gets the jab to miss, and starts backstepping away from the follow-up right hand, which greatly overextends. Dubois is completely out of his stance and out of balance, runs headfirst into the counter right hook of Usyk, followed up by a flush left straight through the jaw. I don't know how he took that punch. That was masterful boxing right there from Oleksandr Usyk, and quickly switches defensively after landing the punch. He ducks under the right straight and the left jab of Dubois, rebounding and exiting away from the ropes. And starting from there, Dubois started to get a lot more desperate to get the knockout, relying on that right straight a lot more. But every time he throws it, he gets off balance and loses his stance, and you cannot fight Oleksandr Usyk like that. The fighter needs to stay composed, or he's just gonna absolutely destroy you out there. So Usyk throws another low feint, dropping his levels, and Daniel Dubois does the same thing. He lowers his stance to level Usyk's, fakes his left hand, and throws out an overextended right straight. Usyk easily sees the punch, pulling away from it. Look how Dubois' stance shifts, because how heavy he threw that forward. He also drags his right foot, causing his stance to be so narrow, there is no way for him to evade this counter from Usyk. Pull counter from Oleksandr Usyk lands flush and stuns Daniel Dubois. And in this sequence here, it happens again. Daniel Dubois throws that right hand way too heavy and overextends and gets countered for it. So in this exchange, Usyk starts it by throwing a quick left straight forward. He doesn't throw it too much power, and is why he's able to retract it so quickly. He throws the punch and Dubois parries it, but Usyk was still able to retract it to his stance, and he pulls away from the counter jab of Dubois, trying to counter with his own right hook, which also misses. Dubois throws his own left hook, which also misses, and that's when he overextends in the right straight. So as soon as he goes to throw it, you see Usyk move quickly away. He takes a big step to the ropes, knowing that Dubois was going to throw the same exact punch again. So with a big punch going forward, he moves big to get away from it, pulling away from the punch as well as ducking under it. Dubois again loses his stance, drags that right foot forward, and this time running into the left counter of Usyk, the biggest shot of the fight so far. But Dubois takes the punch and returns fire, throws a left hook to the body, but as usual, Usyk is very quick to go from offense to defense. He partially blocks the punch, and Dubois exits away. But you're starting to see throughout the fight, Dubois is losing composure. He got desperate for the knockout, throwing way too heavy of a right straight multiple times, and now he's not even attempting to control the range. So then later, Usyk starts to land his punches at range. Usyk then follows it up with a right hook into a left straight. Both punches land. Usyk then doubles up on his jab, feinting, getting Dubois' attention on that punch as he throws in a left hook while stepping on the outside of the lead foot. And Dubois again tries to parry that left hook. It misses, and the left hook lands flush for Usyk. Like, look at the difference of Usyk's defense when he goes to block the punch. He doesn't try to parry the right straight. He just blocks it. High guard on the left side, blocks the punch, and that's it. Dubois is trying to parry every left hand from Usyk, and it just doesn't work on that left hook. So then we go to this sequence, the first knockdown in the fight. Daniel Dubois has Oleksandr Usyk close to the ropes. He throws a jab which splits the guard, gets right in the middle of it, lands the punch, and gets Usyk to move even closer to the ropes, which makes it a lot harder for Usyk this time to pull away from the right straight and slip on the outside of it. He is all the way to the ropes, so instead he throws his own right hook counter, and both of them land their punches. But Dubois continues to throw. He throws a left hook which Usyk ducks under. He lands a right uppercut as he momentarily clinches, but notice how Usyk moves to his own left side. When Dubois fires that right straight, Usyk's able to slip on the outside of it and throws his own left counter, and this time it misses. Dubois is able to slip his head on the inside of the punch and tries to get into his stance again. Because of how heavy he threw that right straight forward, he again got out of his stance. So he tries to get into his stance again as he's moving to his right side to cut off the ring, and he does pick up his left hand to guard himself. Usyk throws the right hook, and Dubois again brings his hand away from his head, opening it up for the right hook to land. So it's not only just him parrying, but it seems like whenever he sees a punch from Usyk, he reaches his hands at it, which is horrible for his defense, and gets him dropped. And then finally in the finishing sequence, Usyk throws a jab and lands it. And from that, Dubois takes a step back and sits into his stance. He is ready for Usyk's offense, or so he thought. Usyk throws an untelegraphed left straight that partially lands as Dubois goes to slip on the outside of it, and they both throw and miss a right hook. Usyk goes right over the head as he pulls away from Dubois' right hook, and Dubois overextends again when he throws the right. Look how he drags the right foot forward He gets into the parallel stance, a much more defenseless stance, and as he leans to his right, he moves into a left haymaker from Usyk that does partially get blocked, but there was way too much power that Usyk threw with it. Lands flush on the jaw and knocks him out. What a performance from Oleksandr Usyk. It looks like there's no heavyweight that's going to beat him. I mean, he's essentially beat every heavyweight there is to fight. What a legend, man. I really wonder when Usyk is going to retire because he's been boxing for a very long time. He's beaten everybody. He has all the titles. He was the lineal cruiserweight champion as well as a lineal heavyweight champion. There is nothing for Usyk to do anymore in boxing. He's essentially done it all. So congratulations to Oleksandr Usyk. Amazing performance. Displayed excellent skill out there. And I hope you guys enjoyed the breakdown. If you guys did, make sure to give the video a like. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.